Hey, congratulations on taking your first step on your journey to a fitter and healthier you. I'm Urslan, and today I'm going to show you how to lose your stubborn belly fat for good after the age of 35 through the Metabolic Revamp. Now, if you're watching this, it's very likely that you have tried a slew of different things. Personal trainers, nutritionists, fad diets, keto, intermittent fasting, low carb, paleo, Atkins, right? All these crazy different things, pills, potions, injections, Optavia, juices, cleanses, you name it. I've heard it, right? And really, it also is likely that you're looking for a lasting lifestyle change to do something that's sustainable, where you don't have to give up your social life. You can still go out to events. You can still enjoy family functions, dinners with friends, and you can really just have a life and not make your whole entire existence revolve around fitness. And so if that's the case, it's not your fault, right? Because there's so much conflicting information out there. There's like more information now than there's ever been in like the history of mankind on the topic of fitness and weight loss, and social media doesn't help either, right? It's like every day you hear conflicting arguments from people that are seemingly equally as qualified, right? So it's like, where do you go? So it's really not your fault. And that's why I want to show you today what the 3 keys are to your transformation. And this is what it really boils down to. And today specifically, I want to cover nutrition. Now, before we dive in, just want to share a little bit more with you about who I am. That way you have a little bit of context outside of social media, outside of who you may have found me through. And so this is a picture of myself, my mom, and my sister. I like to call my sister my best friend. And so I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, and this is a picture of my mom and my dad are immigrants. We're from Pakistan, and I was born and raised in New York. Now I live in Florida because obviously everything we do is online. So, why not enjoy the weather, enjoy the beach? Either way, so about 8 or 9 years ago, I was working in finance as a financial advisor. And even before that, my mom during that time was battling cancer. When I was a lot younger, she was actually diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, I believe at the age of 45 or 46. And she was only told that she had like a few months to live. And because of that, I began to learn a lot about like health and nutrition. And I wasn't very healthy myself. I grew up in a very fat family, fat uncles, diabetes, heart disease, you name it, right? Nobody in our family knew what exercise was. This is a picture of my older brother. He was kind of the one that like introduced me to exercise. And during this time, I was really like just diving into food labels and nutrition and learning everything I could to help my mom. And my mom ended up living well beyond a few years. But long story short, after she passed away, I decided to leave finance and jump into fitness after having my own transformation, going from over 215 pounds down to 175 with the help of a coach that my brother was working with. And through that, I not only was able to achieve a physical result where I felt healthier, I had more energy, but more importantly, I had an internal transformation as well, where I really began to feel like more of myself than I ever had. Like I was truly becoming everything that I had the potential to become. And I really grew this level of confidence that I never knew I had or never knew I could have. And so I took that a step further. With COVID, I shifted from being a personal trainer at Equinox 7 years ago to being a nutritionist to everything online, like I was mentioning, where I even competed a few years ago in my very first physique competition. And that's really where I began to learn a lot about what it takes to have a transformation, because this is not for everybody, right? Doing something like this, where you're looking for a transformation, this is not for everybody, right? So you may see pictures of the women we've worked with, maybe even the men that we've worked with. Having a transformation like this, it's not for everybody, right? Some people want to look like bodybuilders. That's great. Let me introduce you to my competition prep coach. This is not the program for you, right? Some people are really happy with the way they're looking and they just want to pack on a bunch of muscle. Like, great, more power to you. But if you're coachable, if you can follow instructions, if you're a good soldier and you're looking to achieve a transformation and get healthier and get fit, then this is definitely for you. So with that said, let's dive in. So the first thing I want to do is debunk a few myths when it comes down to nutrition. And so let me know, how many of us have had this experience where you jump on the scale and you're like, I lost 10 pounds in 10 days. We've all been there, right? You go up, you go down, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, virtually overnight, right? We've all been there. Now, we're big here on science, and here's what the science says. And I like to say that it's so simple that your kid can follow it. Okay. So 1 pound of body fat is roughly the equivalent of 3,500 calories. Okay. So if you truly lost 10 pounds of body fat in 10 days, that means you would have had to have burned 35, ready? Not 100,000 calories above your maintenance. So most people's maintenance, it depends. Obviously, if you're a man, your maintenance is higher. If you're a woman, your maintenance is lower. For most men, let's say it's 2,000. For most women, let's say it's 1,500. As an example, that means you would have had to have burned 4,500 to 5,500 calories a day every day for 10 days straight to truly have lost 10 pounds of body fat in 10 days. And not only is that not possible or sustainable, you would die if you did something like that. That's crazy, right? But here is what can happen, which is that 1 gram of carbs holds 3 to 4 grams of water, right? Avion is the best water, by the way. I'm not sponsored by them, but I should be because it's in every single one of my videos. Anyways, so let's, as an example, say you have 2 slices of pizza. Well, 2 slices of pizza will hold around 288 grams of water. Now, that would equate to about half a pound of water weight, meaning if you had 2 slices of pizza and immediately jumped on the scale, you would see an increase on the scale by about a half a pound right away, if not more, because of the sodium retention, because of the water retention, rather, that the sodium causes, right? Now, that's not to say that's body fat, but that is to illustrate a point. And that's not even to say pizza is bad, by the way, because it's not. But it's to say that if you're eating specific types of foods, that's going to be reflected on the scale, and vice versa. If you go low carb and you see yourself drop 5 pounds in a week, well, it's not all body fat, right? Some of it may be, for sure. Some of it may be muscle, right? But a majority of it is water weight, right? And again, nothing wrong with pizza. In fact, we have like a running joke in our community of how you can eat pizza and lose your belly fat and even get like abs. It's kind of hilarious, right? Here's a picture of myself enjoying pizza with some of the members when I was out on Long Island, and also myself enjoying a bruschetta pizza last year when I lived on Long Island before I moved, right? And recently, I lost my New York card for saying that Domino's has the best pizza, and I was severely reprimanded for that. So, next, let's talk about intermittent fasting. Nothing special about intermittent fasting. It's just a tool to restrict your calories. And guess what? If you eat the wrong things and you overeat and intermittent fast, you're still going to gain weight, right? There's nothing special about it. It's just a tool. Now, I don't like to recommend it. Some people do it, it's fine, but here's why I don't like to recommend it. It's because to eat the amount of protein you need to have over the course of a single day, it's virtually impossible to do that within 1 to 2 meals. You got to have at least 2 to 3 solid meals with 1 to 2 solid snacks, at least, to make sure that you're hitting the protein target for the day so that you're not losing muscle, right? Another myth, don't eat after 7 p.m., right? Recently there was a book written called Always Eat After 7 p.m. Here we go again with like the conflicting information with like equally as qualified PhDs, right? So here's the science. Whether you eat at 7 o'clock or 7:01, calories are calories. It doesn't change, right? The calories are the same. However, you might have a preference where if you eat too late, it disrupts your sleep, right? You might not want that. For some people, depending on your body type, and this is what we do differently, is make sure we understand where you are, specifically your height, your age, your weight. You might prefer and even need to eat a little bit after a certain time to make sure you're not starving at night and you're not snacking in the middle of the night, right? And we do this through a simple personality quiz, right? And this is something that you can very quickly understand just by talking to somebody, right? So as an example, do you find that you're more hungry in the morning or less hungry? Most people will say, I'm not that hungry in the morning, right? Do you find that you like cold temperatures or hot temperatures, right? And everybody's different. Some people prefer cold temperatures. Some people prefer hot temperatures, right? Do you have broad shoulders? Do you do well on coffee, or do you get jittery? All of these different things can help us understand, where do you sort of lie? Where does your body type lie? And the underlying concept behind this is that your ancestors evolved in a certain way based on where you lived over the course of history, right? And so based on that, you're either a carb type, you're either a mixed type, which is exactly what it sounds like, or you're a protein type, right? And then your ratio of what you're going to eat is going to differ based on that. And so again, when we boil down what the underlying concept behind this really is, it's known as biochemical individuality. Very simply, what this means is that you and I are as different from one another on the inside as we are on the outside. And when you think about it, like, that's like, oh, duh, that makes sense, right? And like, obviously, there are certain things that are the same, right? We have hearts, we have like organs, and all of these, like, we need to drink a certain amount of water. We should all probably sleep a certain amount, right? But even that differs. Some of us are night owls. As you could probably tell by the time right now, I'm a morning person. I've been up since like 4 o'clock this morning, right? So we're all so different in this way, and you got to meet yourself where you're at. And a part of the reason why all of these different types of cleanses and diets and crazy things, Ozempic, reach such a high level of scale and notoriety is because they're cookie cutter. Think about it. You can't reach a level of scale like that unless it's cookie cutter. And that's why none of these things last long term. Everybody ends up gaining the weight back slowly over time, right? Statistically, 97% of people that go on diets gain all the weight back. Of those, 80% of those people end up gaining back even more weight than they initially lost. How many times have you lost the same 10 pounds over and over and over again, or lost 10 pounds and then gained back, an additional 5 on top of that? It's like you're paying interest, right? And so again, it's not your fault if you've experienced this, because this is what we think healthy is. Juice cleanses, right? Stop eating, starve yourself. But here's the thing. Your liver and kidneys already are the only detoxifying organs you need. They detoxify everything for you. You don't need to help them out. They got you, unless, God forbid, you've drank an egregious amount of alcohol and now you can't, properly function with all of your organs, right? The other thing is starving yourself, right? Which, if you think about what Ozempic is, it's a controlled version of starving yourself, right? Semaglutide, slowing down gastric emptying, having your ghrelin, your hunger hormone hit so that you're not feeling as hungry, you're not thinking about food as much, right? These are all Band-Aid solutions, right? Because our goal is not just to lose weight on the scale. That's fine. Of course, we want to get that number down. Our goal is to cut down body fat and maintain muscle while getting the number on the scale down. Because you don't want to look like a melted candle. You don't want to end up with saggy skin. You want energy. You want vitality. You want confidence. You want to fit into your clothes. You want to take your shirt off. You want to take your, whatever the case is. If you're in a bathing suit on the beach, as an example, you want to feel confident in the way you look, right? And that doesn't happen just by losing weight, just by starving yourself, right? Intermittent fasting. That happens by making sure you're not only eating in the right way, eating enough. Most of us don't eat enough, right? But you're also exercising, which is, for a separate topic. And so the reason why, the underlying problem, the reason why you're getting plateaued, you're getting stuck, is because of this concept known as metabolic slowdown, where you maybe yo-yo dieted so much on a roller coaster, up and down. And what happens through the years is that you're getting more body fat, less muscle. Your metabolism begins to slow down, right? Now, we can reverse this through the metabolic revamp, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then just to wrap up here on the things that people try and that the mistakes that people make, calorie counting, right? Or counting points, right? You very likely have been told chicken breast is not 0 points, right? And here again, science. The reality is, even if you overeat healthy food, you're going to gain weight because healthy food still has calories in it, right? Now, it's obviously harder to overeat healthier food, but it's still possible, and people still do it. And what is healthy anyways? That's just such a nebulous term. It can mean anything, right? People have different ideas of what healthy means. And so, again, all of these different things, keto, intermittent fasting, Atkins, you name it, right? Whole30, all of these different diets, personal trainers, right? Nutritionists, all these things you may have tried. And again, it's not your fault for the reason why they haven't worked. Because to achieve a transformation like we have with the men we work with the women we work with, it's not just workouts. It's not just starve yourself, right? There's something different that we need to do, right? Which is what we do and teach our members is the body type nutrition. And again, that's based on where you're at right now, your height, your age, your weight. Are you a man? Are you a woman? It's going to be very different than what you're going to have to eat, right? And then progressing it over time so that you can also begin to keep the weight off as well. So in summary, the body type nutrition, where you have a tailored plan for you, where you have not only a meal plan where you know exactly what to eat, when to eat, but over time, you also learn things like what are macros, right? Macros, things like this. These things will help you with reversing your metabolic slowdown so that you can really begin to lose that belly fat and then more importantly, keep it off long-term as well. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this enlightened you a little bit. And that's it. I'm looking forward to our call. Have a pen and paper ready because we're going to be covering what your goals are, what you've been having a challenge with, and then map out a simple 3-step action plan so that you can start breaking through the plateau and get results right away. That's it. And I will talk with you then.